teetering on burnout or getting discouraged. And the conflict can be that thing that's the straw breaking the camel's back, where it's almost like want to throw your hands up and just say like, F it. Like, what is the point of even doing all of this anymore? It's caused too much pain, too much stress, too much turmoil. Like, what is the point? Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your July soul session. I'm Princess India if you're new. And if you're family, welcome back, my friend and whatnot, or whatever. If you're not familiar with what your soul sessions are, they are your spirituality as well as personal development readings, in which we look at the energies that you guys may encounter for a given month, my friend. And I'm telling you, Taurus, much like I've told every sign prior to you about looking at the last 6 months, so taking a gander at your woke book to see for the last 6 months where you guys are with your goals. So checking in with yourself on your personal development journey or your goal execution, because last month being June means we're at the midpoint of the year. And now is a great time to kind of reassess everything that you've accomplished or things that are still on the list to accomplish to set you up to have your best chance in 2022. So let's go ahead and jump into your cards. The first card out, interesting, is the Temperance in the reverse, and that is Sagittarius energy. Then we have the Five of Swords that came out in the extended for Aries. Then we have the Eight of Cups in the reverse. And then we have the Three of Swords. So Taurus, what it is looking like, my friend, there's a tad bit of imbalance. I'm saying a tad bit, but it's a lot, you know what I'm saying? I feel there's more in a sense of the emotional realm. It's feeling like a tad bit off kilter. Your emotions could potentially be up and down coming out of June and into July, or simply just feeling as if you've lost your footing in some way, shape, form, or fashion. What I'm feeling from it intuitively is more or less feeling as if, and this would be more June energy, it's almost feeling as if you got a handle on things, or you guys were fighting to get a handle on things, but it's almost like something coming and upsetting the apple cart, if you will. So I kind of feel it like oscillating, you know, back and forth between things. Now, this could have a great deal to do with this Five of Swords, a conflict that you guys are having with other people outside of you. I wanted to say it could be something that's happening within yourself. It could also be that power struggles or external conflicts are kind of exacerbating how it is that you guys are already feeling. But whatever the case, I feel very much so, because of this Temperance in the reverse that you guys are coming into the month with, it's feeling off already, but this is going to turn into a teaching lesson. It's feeling kind of off balance already. But when there's conflict that's being encountered outside of yourself, we have a tendency to kind of overcompensate. So when we're not feeling like stable, rooted, grounded within ourselves, whenever there's anything happening outside of us, we either overcompensate or undercompensate. And I feel that's all coming from the fact that you guys aren't feeling a sense of like stability or security within yourself. So it's almost like feeling things heightened, right? It could be, or if we were to use a colloquialism, it would be like the straw breaking the camel's back, if you will. You know, it's coming to a place where you're already kind of teetering on the edge, and it's that straw that breaks the camel's back in a sense. So I feel that whatever conflict is going on outside of you guys, it's there, it's happening, but I just feel that you guys are already coming into it in a weakened place. And I have to backstep too, because this does kind of go into what it is I was saying with Aries, because with, and this is like a whole rant I went on and they're extended, but with this Temperance in the reverse, it's more or less, I was speaking to Aries about how meditation isn't something that you just like do, you get up and go on with your life. It's like practicing mindfulness is intended to become a lifestyle, right? So it's living your life in a state of meditation, which means it's you staying in alignment. It's you being the ever-present observer in your life, right? So that's how, like, us coming from that place within ourselves is how it is that we can respond as opposed to react to external stimuli, right? So that's like the whole thing I'm saying with overcompensating. It's like, granted, there's conflict going on in you guys' environment. And, you know, it's a part of life. Conflict happens. However, because you guys are coming from this place within yourself to where there's been a cutoff in your attunement, right? You guys can end up overcompensating or reacting to the situation as opposed to responding. So what the message really would be with this temperance in the reverse, much like Sagittarius energy, and I believe I said this for Aquarius as well, the key is going backwards in order to go forwards. So much like I told Aquarius that there's a need for them to kind of backstep and look at, you know, their bank statements and stuff like that. For Taurus, I more or less feel you guys need to backstep, whether it's in the last month or if it's in the last 6 months, the last year, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever the case in your specific situation. But I feel that it's necessary for you guys to go back to see where it is you got disconnected. Because much like I said for Aries with them, it felt heavily like a disconnect. And I say it's like a triad type of thing. If we're disconnected from other people, like we're closed off from other people, right? It's like that starts with spirit, really, because it's like when we disconnect from spirit, we disconnect from the inner self and thus disconnect from other people. But it's our connection with other people that's easily seen, right? Because even a disconnection with ourselves or our core values, that's something that we can easily overlook if we aren't living mindfully. So how this could look for you guys is those of you who've taken my Purpose RX course or are on the network, y'all know all about core values and things of the sort. But it's more or less when we come out of alignment with our core values, right? It's like that's when it becomes a sense of self-betrayal, and that off-kilter energy that we're feeling, a lot of what I said in Aries reading, that off-kilter energy that we're feeling, or this unrest or this anxiousness or this confusion, all of those are symptoms of the deeper problem being a disconnect either with ourselves, with someone else, or with spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not really knowing what's happening, right? So it's kind of stepping full back into your humanness. Now, the next card you guys have is the Eight of Cups in the reverse. So this is more or less something that needs to be walked away from. And this could be something that is leading to a great deal of this anxiety. It can be very fear-based, where it's something that needs to be cut off, something that needs to be released, or something that you need to walk away from. However, it's having put so much time, energy, and effort into this particular thing. And whether that's, you know, job, career, relationship, what have you, even if it's a mindset, because I'm feeling that too, even if this is a mindset, like meaning, say it's a certain perspective you have of a person, like, what's a good example of this? Of making it up in your mind, like this is going to be, I mean, it's not a crazy example. It's possible, but just follow me. But if you think about like, okay, say being a kid, your parents get divorced, right? And you, all of your life, now you're an adult, you refuse to speak to, you know, your dad or, you know, your mom, whatever parent isn't there. It's like one parent was saying how the other parent is like, you know, they're evil, they never loved you, and you're listening to that and you never wanted to hear or were never willing to hear other perspectives. Is more or less you set it up in your mind. This is what it is. This person is horrible. You know what I'm saying? They're evil, whatever the case, right? And now you fast forward years, you're an adult, and it's different things that you're hearing that are kind of putting into question what you held to be true all of this time, and more or less the opportunity that you guys are being offered, right? And this is just another perspective to look at it. Instead of it being something tangible, this is more of an inner world kind of thing, is something you invested in with this Eight of Cups in the reverse would be that perspective that this person is evil, right? But now new information comes in and it's like, oh, you know, it's kind of looking like there's pieces to the story that are missing, right? So it's like the crossroads you guys could potentially be at with this being like a hypothetical for an inner world type of thing that you guys are invested in is a perspective of a person outside of yourself or a perspective of yourself. And it's something that you've been feeding to and ministering to for decades. And it's kind of hard to walk away from that. So despite evidence coming into the contrary, right? So say if we were to step over and say that this is, you know, a poor self-concept, right? It's like you've achieved a great deal of things, right? You've won awards. You have all of these people who are telling you you're super dope, like you do a great job, best manager ever, teacher of the year. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much evidence to the contrary. And now it's to the point where it's getting difficult to believe the proverbial lie, you know what I'm saying? Or half truth, if you will. And you're being offered an opportunity to walk away from this because with this Three of Swords, it's causing more harm than good, right? I look at the Three of Swords as your mind attacking your heart. So it's more or less, and if we were to look at heart synonymous with love, synonymous with the highest vibrational frequency, and then to equate that to God, the all that is, you know what I'm saying? It's more or less the battle between good and evil, proverbially speaking, would be happening between your heart space, that of which is the seat of your soul, and your mind, which is your human brain and your head, right? And that's the war that's really happening, is the fact, and that's also, if we were to get even more deep with the Taurus, it's also the reason why feminine energy is seen as a peril and an ill in this world, that speaking from emotions or being in tune with your emotions is not palatable. It's not attractive. You know what I'm saying? It's seen as weakness, right? Because it gives more value to things in the external world, which is action, doing, thinking, domination, control, power. You know what I'm saying? Receptivity doesn't seem very attractive in the face of those things. So what this is really speaking about is this is a war within oneself. It's a battle between the inner good and evil, that of which is the mind and the heart. You know what I'm saying? So that this temperance in the reverse, I feel much like this is very similar to Aries in context. But it's more or less this temperance in the reverse would be that red flag that something is kind of off balance. And it's the like the warning sign that there's a need for one to get back into alignment with whatever that is for you guys specifically. But whatever the case, like literally, this is all symptoms of the deeper problem. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the conflict within yourself, it's conflict in your head, it's conflict with other people. You know what I'm saying? An inability for one to stand their ground, or if it's, you know, beating yourself up over something that transpired, not being able to let it go, still rehearsing old pains from the past, you know what I'm saying? And kind of recycling this old energy. All of this would be the byproduct of a disconnect with oneself. You know, and one is going to continuously be off balance if you're not in connection with yourself. And a tangible example of what a disconnect with yourself is a violation of your core values, like what it is you build your life on. Compromising those, right, for something else or someone else is how you get out of alignment with yourself in a very practical, psychological sense. The next card is the moon, and that's Cancerian energy. And then we have the Three of Cups in the reverse. So with this moon card, my wonderful Taurian peoples, let me look at the bottom of y'all's deck. Well, look at that, the Nine of Pentacles. So with this moon card, my wonderful Taurians, this is more or less about discernment. This is about following your gut instincts, right? And I have to say, disclaimer with this, it's more or less the pure place. This is a tad bit of shadow work and needing to dive deeper, right? Similar to, again, what I was saying with Aries, of not allowing what one has experienced in the past to be the determination for future. Another way we can look at this is this being something that has occurred for so long, right? Or something that you've been ignoring for so long, or something you've been pushing down for so long, it's starting to manifest in your dream space, right? So it's more or less, it's something in the subconscious that's needing to be made conscious, right? that is an influence to a lot of this. So like I said, with the Five of Swords, looking at it as like in a projection sense, you know what I'm saying? It's more or less something that's happening or something that's bothering you or something that like shadow work wise is coming up to the surface to finally be dealt with. The ignoring of that or the refusal to release this or walk away from this perspective or this way of being or the way of handling things. And it would really be a sense of self-compromise. It's putting other people before yourself, right? It's not choosing yourself first, whether that's you feel that, you know, that's selfish or whatever the case. But all of this goes back to like a past pathology. Like it's something, if we were to go back to the contortionist read that I did for Taurus like 2 years ago, it's still being in that place to where you are bending over, because it was a vision I had of like a Cirque du Soleil person who literally like contorted themselves so much you couldn't even recognize it was a human because their head was like sticking out, their leg was over their head, it was all kinds of stuff, right? But that's symbolic of a person who self-compromises to the detriment of themselves and the benefit of everyone else. You know what I'm saying? And it's a belief that one has to do that. It's the fact that, you know, who am I? You know, it's like, let me just go ahead and violate my own boundaries because other people get to benefit from it, or people are going to think that I'm mean, or people are going to think that, you know, I'm selfish or whatever the case. But this more or less would be the proverbial cross that you're bearing that's causing more harm than good, because it's coming from a mental space. And that mental space, like I said, with Aries, is very much intricately related to your experience. So what we're really talking about is forsaking who you are in a higher vibrational spiritual sense, like your soul essence, your higher self. It's forsaking that for what other people say, what the world says, what your history or your experience says that you are, right? And it's living like that for some time, which is why things are off kilter, because your soul is yearning for a more balanced, spirit connected way of living. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the conflict is the byproduct of that disconnect. So the whole answer to this reading lies in diving deep to go within. Now, here's another thing with this moon card too, is the theme I've been seeing this month, even in my weeklies, is this whole trial by fire kind of thing. It's almost like everyone is being tested, you know, and it's like worst case scenario is coming up. It's almost like in the month of July, everyone is facing their worst fear. You know what I'm saying? So if it's like a demon, proverbially speaking, about yourself you didn't want to face, it's like this proverbial demon is coming home to roost. Like instead of you ignoring it, it's showing up in a person and it's coming to you live and direct. You know what I'm saying? For you to finally face it. And the thing that I liken it to is it's much like the story of Buddha, of how Buddha became the Buddha, like how Buddha got enlightened. Was him meditating under the Bodhi tree. And while he was under the Bodhi tree, he went through this trial by fire where he was facing all of his greatest fears. And it was like this final battle. And once he overcame that fear, that of which was himself, realizing he was holding himself back, that's when he became enlightened. And so the same thing, if you look at the story of Jesus after he was baptized and he went into the wilderness and, you know, the adversary shows up and, you know, test him 3 times, like turn that stone into bread. And Jesus all like, you know, man cannot eat by bread alone, homie. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so it's a test of like self-preservation. And then the other test was him saying, you know, I can make you a king and give you all kinds of riches and things of the sort. And the other one was him throwing himself off of like the top of the temple and him calling in the angels to like, you know, save him. Like, if you're really, you know, the son of God, throw yourself off of this temple and have the angels catch you. You know what I'm saying? And all of those things, like there's deeper implications to what each one of those tests mean. I'll go into that one day, but now is not the time. And you're reading here, Taurus, you know what I'm saying? But the whole purpose of that is it's illustrating of a trial by fire. It's like the three things that keep human beings from ever seeing their greatness in this particular life. You know what I'm saying? Those dark distractions are what I call them. So with this moon card for you guys, this is more or less you guys going through that process of being under the Bodhi tree. You know what I'm saying? What sits on the other side of this would be enlightenment, you know? And then looking at this Three of Cups, I think it's interesting that on either side of the moon card, there's the Three of Swords on one side, and then there's the Three of Cups in the reverse on the other side. Interesting. Ciao. The Messenger card came up clarifying this this Three of Cups in the reverse. And that goes to what it is I was feeling with that. I don't feel that as like, oh, disappointment, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was happy, now I'm not type of vibe. I don't feel that with the Three of Cups in the reverse. What I really feel with this is this is like a solitary journey. So if we're thinking about dark night of the soul, shadow work, you know, stuff like that, it's one of those things where it's not about, let me say it this way. Thank you, Spirit. Looking at this Messenger card. A lot of Taurian people could be in a place, which would probably be why you're watching this reading, is that you're in a place to where it's not being able to find the verbiage or being able to even explain or verbalize what it is that you're going through or what it is that you're feeling, what you're desiring, which is what I see at the bottom of you guys' deck, the Nine of Pentacles. It's two ways. There's some of you who are already there, like you're already in a place to where, you know, you've put a lot of work in and you're able to live in, you know, the fruits of your efforts. You know, you're stable, secure, you're independent, you're not relying on anyone. There's another group of Tauruses who are working very hard to get to that place. You know what I'm saying? But I feel the people who are still working to get there may be at a place of like teetering on burnout or getting discouraged. And the conflict can be that thing that's the straw breaking the camel's back, where it's almost like want to throw your hands up and just say like, F it. Like, what is the point of even doing all of this anymore? It's caused too much pain, too much stress, too much turmoil. Like, what is the point? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, this isn't fun anymore. I'm that happy type of vibe. The other group of Tauruses, you guys could have achieved this thing that you guys worked very hard to get to, but it feeling hollow. It's like, so this is what it is? Like, so this is life? You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost like that disappointment of thinking when you got to this place, you would feel fulfilled or this would be it. And you know, I just thought I was missing this thing. And, you know, if I just made more money, if I just got this job, then I'd be happy. And it's like getting there and still like, why am I still not happy? Like, why am I still, you know, not there, and being confused by that? And why I say with this Messenger card, like why you would be watching this reading is because it's almost like this feeling of, I need a word. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need someone to speak to me. I need someone to speak to my situation. Like, I need answers. I need this to make sense. You know what I'm saying? And what I feel this card clarifying, this Three of Cups in the reverse, is saying is, even if you watch this and I give you some clarity, I give you some insight, it still isn't going to be the quote unquote solution, right? Because that solution comes from within. It's a shift that Taurus needs to make within themselves to align with this, because all of this chaos or unrest or, you know, off kilter kind of vibes, all of this stuff is the symptom of the deeper problem being your disconnect with the divine or yourself, however it is that you want to look at it, right? And of course, questions come up of what it is, does that mean? And the only thing that I feel compelled to say in reference to that is, knock and the door shall be opened unto you, my friend. You know what I'm saying? It's like you ask a question like what the high priestess represents. Homegirl don't be chit-chatting and talking, and she's not going to say a word unless you ask her the right question. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what's the right question? like you'll know when you ask it, because then you're gonna get an answer type of deal. So all of this I really feel, and I have to say it in practical terms for those who may not understand what the hell it is that I'm even talking about, because that's very possible. What this really goes back to, Taurus, is very much Hierophant energy, which is talking about your core values. Like, what are 3 things that you value the absolute most? And those of you who have worked with me before that know what your core values are, now is a time to see when you came out of alignment with those. What caused you to compromise them? You know, why did you feel that was a good idea? And whatever the reason is for that, it's coming back into alignment with those values and moving forward from there. Now, in a mundane sense, right? If there's those of you who are out there where you applied for like a job or something like that, I know that was like a huge like skirt going to the left. It'd be like that sometimes. But for those of you where you applied for a job or something, well, there's 2 messages there, to be honest. If you guys applied for a job or something along those lines, like you applied for a job, a position, a loan, like something along those lines, I feel it's been some time since you heard back from this company or this person, and you guys are starting to feel a way where it's falling back into an old mindset where it's like, ooh, I knew this wasn't going to work. And, you know, I took a chance and da-da-da-da-da type of deal. And like, what am I going to do from here? I thought this was going to be the thing. Why haven't I heard back from them yet? Yada, yada, yada. I feel by the middle of the month, like somewhere around the 15th, I do feel y'all are going to hear an answer back in reference to that. But I feel with this, it feels very job related for that first group, not the first 1 and 2 groups I was talking about before, but with this particular message I'm seeing, it feels very career related, you know, or back pay money type of stuff. And the other side of that, this is probably maybe 2 people. If all of this stuff that I described in a very spiritual context, if all of this stuff that I described, like listening to the words behind the words of what I was saying, if the pattern of it sounds like a relationship you have with someone, whether that's romantic, or it's, you know, like family, friends, whatever, and you guys are kind of going into a downward spiral about it because you haven't heard from the person, they haven't said anything, so you're kind of thinking worst case scenario, I would also say that by like the 15th, you guys would be hearing from them, whether it's like a text message or them giving you a call or something along those lines. And maybe for one person out there, and this is weird. How can I explain that? I feel like I'm stepping back in time with that message. I don't know. It feels like y'all gonna think I'm so nuts, y'all. It feels like military kind of vibes, right? Like the energy signature I'm picking up on, I'm just gonna say it. It's kind of like, you know, back in the day, like if you look at like a war movie, right? And there's like no telephones and it was just snail mail. And like if someone has a kid that's like, or, you know, a lover that's off in the military and like you get a letter, like the person writes you every month and you didn't get a letter this month and you're waiting and you like fear the worst because you didn't get a letter. I know that this sounds crazy, but that's literally the vibe that I get, but I'm not feeling anything that's grounding it to now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like I'm picking up on something like eons ago. I don't even know where that would be relevant, but it's something like that. It's because I can't see how that could happen now unless someone like ghosted. You know what I'm saying? and being like, whatever happened to this person? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like majority of people usually have some kind of like, you know, digital trail, you know what I'm saying? Where they have like, you know, a Facebook or something. I mean, not everyone, but most people have something, a Twitter or something, to where if you're like, whatever happened to such and such, and you went to go like, I'm not even gonna say Google, because I'm hoping that y'all not just Googling people like that. But anyway, but you know, if you search them on Facebook or something, you'd be able to find them, or a sibling, you know what I'm saying? To where it's like, oh, they're still alive type of deal. So I don't really know how a person could go off the grid like that, but I mean, it's possible. But I feel what the only place that could be relevant is if it's a person who literally jumped off the grid, and you seeing somehow like whatever happened to them and somebody posting them on Instagram or something, or you hearing something about this person or them reaching out to you. Y'all have to tell me if that's relevant. That may be for one person, child. I have no idea. But anywho, I'm gonna pick a card from the Rebel deck that I love so much because it lets me curse. You know what I'm saying? To see any additional messages I can get for you guys. Oh, child, that's buku cards that came out. But hey, Taurus, why not? Oh my God, did those three slide down? I don't know. Let's just go with it. Anywho, first card, it says, it's dark and you can't see a fucking thing. Get your head out of your ass pronto. Okay. Next one says, you are loved. You are here for a reason. Don't fuck it up. Amen to that. Next, get over yourself. Pull your shit together. Help people, give back, do good shit for humanity. That so feels like Aquarius energy to me. The next one says, it's not everyone else's fault. It's yours. You are a grown-ass adult. Stop blaming others for your shit. Dude, that's a word right there, because I can see where that could apply up in this. You know what I'm saying? Truth of the matter is, like, and this is a message I'll give in reference to that. You know how I was talking about the whole self-compromising and stepping out of alignment with your values and all this other kind of stuff? It's one of those things of like throwing the brick and hiding your hand. It's like, nobody asked you to do that. I said that to like, what was it, Pisces? And this was months ago. I think it was Pisces. I said that too. And the whole message was like being like bitter and pissed at other people, right? For violating your boundaries or taking advantage of you or something like that, when you like coerced a person into doing that. It's like, I'm gonna give a crappy example just so y'all can get it. I got a whole bunch of those this month. But it's like, if you have a friend that doesn't have a car, right? And, you know, or a person that you met that doesn't have a car, and you really want this person to like you, you really want to be friends with them. So you volunteer, like, you know, whenever you need a ride, just call me. Doesn't matter what time of the day, I will be there, you know, like whenever you need it. And you never really thought of like, maybe the unspoken expectation was, I think this person will be my friend, or I think this person will be there for me. I think this person will give me gas money, right? But you never stated that as an expectation, right? So it's going into it not really clarifying what the boundaries were or what your expectations were type of deal. And this person is like, oh, wow, cool. So they're calling you all hours of the day, just like you said. You know what I'm saying? Pick me up from here. Oh, you know, it's 3 a.m. I'm at the bar. Can you pick me up on these 2 cross streets? You know what I'm saying? And at first you're doing it, it's totally cool. But then it starts wearing on you, right? And then you get pissed and resentful because this person is calling you all the time and they're never giving you gas money. You know what I'm saying? When you're going through something and you call them, they're not there for you, right? Because the major violation within oneself was, I'm doing this for them because I want their friendship. I really don't want to pick them up all hours of the day. You know what I'm saying? I really don't want to give them rides everywhere. I just really want them to be my friend, right? So hopefully me doing this will make them want to be friends with me, right? The hidden expectation in that is the fact of, oh, if I was them, right? If a person was, picking me up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, the very least I would do is give them gas money, right? But you're not them. You know what I'm saying? And all of this stuff that's happened. So now, like, Taurus is in a position, you compromise all of your values, your boundaries, and all of this because you wanted to connect with the person. At first, it wasn't that bad of a thing. It was the thought of, if this person is like me, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't do this, but it's not taking into consideration that that person isn't you. You know what I'm saying? And then it's being angry at the person for that when it's a situation that Taurus created. It's like, we could beat the person up for not giving gas money. Cause I mean, I agree. I feel like, if somebody giving you rides, the least you could do, you know what I'm saying, is give them gas, right? But at the same time, it's what this dive deep would be with this moon card is realizing that truth. You know what I'm saying? All of that other stuff I said, like, oh, I'm a nice person and I'm sticking my neck out to help this person out because my true motivation is I want to be friends with them. So, I'm gift giving because maybe that's your love language. You know what I'm saying? I'm gift giving, doing acts of service and things of the sort because I want this person's friendship and I want them to see that I'm a good person and I'm a pretty cool friend. You know what I'm saying? But the byproduct of that, it's needing to recognize within oneself, because I feel, and this is probably like a word right here, child. The thing I would feel that Taurus would be missing is that this is what's happening in the background. It's this whole process, like that whole going backwards to go forwards thing that I talked about. This going backwards, meaning digging into oneself. You know what I'm saying? Of seeing when that disconnect happened. This would be an ideal example of that. It's like needing to go back to the fact that, yeah, this person, they're so selfish and self-centered and they took advantage of you. Oh my goodness. Yes, they did, child. Wow. Like, they're a horrible human being. However, we need to pay attention to the fact that Taurus overextended themselves. They volunteered to be in a situation, not stating what their boundaries were, not knowing who or how this person really is, if they even have a character of a person that would pay you, right? Needing to take into account that you literally said, oh no, you don't have to do anything. I'll pick you up all hours of the day. And this person just literally took you at face value. You know what I'm saying? So it's less about what the person did. And I feel that's where you guys could potentially be harboring. It's harboring on the effect and like totally forgetting about the cause. I hope that that's making sense. It's not taking into account that you offered to overextend yourself and violated your own boundaries there, violated your values there, came out of alignment there, right? And now this person came into agreement with you being out of agreement with yourself. This got perpetuated, right? And then the anger towards the person is anger that one really wants to have with themselves, can't have with themselves, or, is just subconsciously projecting onto the other party or other people. When the real thing to be mad at is that the first cause was the fact that one violated their own values or came out of alignment with themselves in hopes of getting something from someone else. And not saying that it's transactional or that it's malicious. It's friendship. That's something everybody wants. You know what I'm saying? You want connection with other human beings. But the lesson in all of this is how one compromises themselves to get these things and needs to recognize that, to be aware of that, to accept that, and to do some work on that of where is this coming from? Why do I feel like I need to, bend over backwards or whatever the case may be in order to get acceptance? You know what I'm saying? But how one can perpetuate their woundedness and not heal from this is it's easier to blame other people. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, if this resonates, go with it. If it doesn't, chill, but it's, looking at it from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? is needing to see that initiation of how one comes out of alignment with themselves. It's easier to blame other people. It's totally easier. And we can go through life and say every single person that we dated, every single person that we were friends with took advantage of us, right? But it's hypothetically, in what ways did you allow yourself to be taken advantage of, right? And I'm saying that loosely, people. Not victim shaming or anything of the sort, but I'm talking about how we open the door to our own demise. I feel that that's what this is speaking to, you know? And that's one of those deeper intricacies, man. Like when we talk about doing shadow work, like that's one of the biggest epiphanies that people have doing shadow work, is when you realize like little hairpin kind of things like that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just harping on like, oh, you know, they were wrong. Like they just should have never did that. Da, 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 da. But it's you being your own protector by not allowing yourself to do that. If we make mistakes and we did, cool, person took advantage of us, that's not right. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean we want to keep perpetuating that behavior either. I hope and pray that that's making sense, Taurus, because that's one of those things, even when I teach this to people, it's so intricate where I have to draw illustrations a lot of times to get people to see what I'm saying, which is why I use analogies all of the time. You know what I'm saying? But I hope that that's making sense to you guys to see what I'm talking about in that pathology. You know what I'm saying? I hope and pray that makes sense. All that from these little cards, child. I don't know what the Thunderbolt is, but it says figure shit out on your own. That goes back to that 3 of Cups in the reverse, child. I'm trying to tell you. It's literally talking about this being a solo thing. Like no one can help you. It's looking for a word or looking for a message or looking to other people outside of yourself to be the solution. And they're not. You are. Like you're literally the solution. So I'm going to give you all these last 3 because they fell out and I'm going to let y'all go. But it says stop sleeping so damn much. Wake up. You are missing some cool shit. And you got a feeling you just can't shake. That little voice inside you, listen to that shit. I'm trying to tell you. They broke your heart. We got 3 of Swords. Fuck them. Drops mic. So anywho, Taurus, I really hope that makes sense, my friends. That's been your reading. I'm going over to my network to do you guys extended, where we're going to finish playing these cards out and pull some oracles for you guys from another one of my decks. So if you're about that life, follow me on over there. If not, I still love your face. And I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.